the video that I wanted to be making at this point, right before sick week. As you can tell, motor is out. Motor is over there, going back to Kuntz. So you guys probably saw, we went out testing Sunday, made 7 passes. The last pass I went 468 at 159, went 726, letting it out at 6 seconds in. I had to get 2 license passes for my NHRA advanced cert, or advanced license. So I needed 2 of those 7 passes to be faster than 750 to be able to run faster than 750 at sick week. That's the requirement. So on the last pass, made a good pass. I didn't notice anything. Got down to the top end. One of the things I noticed first was my puke tank in the back has like stainless steel mesh in it. Just helps filter out some of the oil particulate so it's not on the wing. It had pushed that mesh out. So we get back to the pits, and my buddy Reed, he's like, all right, let's get turned around, and started looking through the data log, and there's 14 psi of coolant pressure when all day we've had 4 to 5. So that is immediately like hey, something's up here. That motor is copperhead gaskets and O-ringed. So, we're like, okay, we'll put a little bit more of a safety in it just in case, like a fluke thing. Go to start the car up. Starts up fine, and then we notice one of the cylinders. I have all my EGTs on my dash, so we noticed one of the EGTs was not firing. Or one of the cylinders not firing, causing a dead hole. So it's super cold. We tried changing plugs, wires, nothing would change it. So loaded it up, came back here. I pulled the motor out yesterday, pulled the plugs out. Number 3 is pretty well burnt. There's no strap left. There's, the spark plug is all burnt. There's oil in the intake. It's usually never a great sign. We weren't really pushing the motor. It was only at like 38, 39 pounds. Pretty rich still. Timing was fairly low, but it shouldn't have hurt anything. So Aaron from Kuntz is coming to pick the motor up tomorrow. Like I said, this isn't the video I want to make, but I feel like I need to post this type of stuff just to help out everyone at home that thinks this is just easy. I know I can get into that trap where I expect things to be fast. I expect it to go and work as it should, but it's not the case when you're trying to go, 6s at 200. Just unless you have a motor, that's big block, something like that. That it's not saying the LS is not made for that, but it's definitely a 388 going that fast is, it takes a little bit. It's pushing it. So motor's going back. As you can tell, the tires have the Lightning McQueen ka-chow going on. We noticed the front shocks weren't making any changes when we would adjust rebound. We were trying to tighten up the front or loosen up the front, but in the shock data it was not doing anything. So we sent those off to AFCO just to get gone through. We sent the shocks up. We just sent the shocks off to AFCO to be gone through. That way we have shocks that work. The front shocks are the ones that stay on the car all the time on drag and drives. The rear shocks get changed to a drive shock, but the fronts are the ones that take all the abuse of the road, so I'm sure they're worn out. So I can't 100% say that we will be at sick week. It really depends on what Aaron finds. All those guys, I truly appreciate them getting the motor done quick and them even trying to make this happen. So it is expensive. Not saying, we're going to fix this right away and get right to sick week, but if it is a half easy quick fix, then we will. If not, we're just going to, take the rest of the winter off, regroup, figure out what happened. I still really have no idea. The rest of the plugs look fine. It's just that one hole that's just torched. I can see down through the exhaust valve that the edge of the piston is gone. It's not, it's probably, it's not really, it's just rolled the edge. It didn't like, totally blow it out. So there is aluminum transfer on the side of the wall. So just stuff I got to go through, figure out what happened. There's not, it's frustrating for me because I don't know what happened. But that's the nature of racing, I guess. I just wanted to, post this just as this is sometimes how it is. It sucks. And it is a lot of work, but, in the end, we'll figure it out and come back better. All right, so you guys saw a little bit, that was 2 weeks ago now. I did that short video, just kind of outlining what happened at the track. Here we are 2 weeks later. We don't really have a smoking gun on what happened, but I'm going to take you around the car and just kind of go over what we're changing, and hopefully have a motor back soon. So this might be a little bit in depth of what we're changing a couple weeks before. As you can tell right now, the car is very dismantled. So we'll just start up front like we did on the last video. The struts are gone. So on the shock data, the shocks were not changing any, or the shock data wasn't changing any. So we think the front shocks are just worn out. They're the ones that stay on the car on the drag and drive. So those are the ones that are constantly, getting the road abuse, the potholes. So we did send those off to AFCO to just be gone through. No valving change, just a quick update, I guess you call it, just so we can have some fresh struts that will, adjust when we make changes. So moving on, so I'm going to take you up kind of inside the car. So what we noticed, or some theories, are the injector driver in the Holley. So this is kind of madness up in here. I have to, kind of tie this all back up. But we pulled the pins out of the injector driver, and then let me get in here real quick. We swapped to a injector driver box. I made a mount with that. So swapped to injector driver box. There is some theories that the Dominator cannot power 16 injectors effectively. So it's not a smoking gun, but it probably needs to happen. So before we had 8 that were sequential, and then 4 or the other 8 were batch fired, in a pair. So now we have, with the driver box, we have 2 sequential sets. So it helps out injector timing a little bit. So hopefully it's not a huge learning curve on that, but I think we got a pretty good handle on it. Doug came over and wired that up for us. You guys saw Doug. He was on the last sick week. And then what else did we change? So we swapped to actual Holley coils. I know this is kind of a hot topic right now. So we did swap just to make sure. The coils have been on the car for like 3 years, so we just wanted to make sure that wasn't one of the causes. And in doing so and looking at the injector driver data, we noticed that the coils are powered on all the time. So I'm not going to say that's not my bad for not checking that. I was not the one that set that up. That was people before, when we first got the car running. So that could have had something to do with it if that coil was weak. So there's really no telling on what happened. I don't think it was anything mechanical on the motor. The lifter problem we had, I'm not too sure on that. Also have some theories, but nothing really in stone. So I think that's kind of about it. So on, this is kind of the madness that's on the side of our glide right now. So I'll kind of go over this because a few people do wonder what's going on here. So I will say these were supposed to be backwards, do not fit in the car backwards. So this was supposed to be swapped around, so it was facing back here. That way I could use these ports, but I had to tuck these really tight. So this manifold could just be one now, but whatever. So I'll kind of go through. So fluid comes out here. I have this. This was before we had the roller thrust bearing. This was our thrust bearing saver. So it's just an ATF speed, just a basic, it's just a pressure relief. So if he hits like 80 PSI, it'll pop this off. This returns back to pan. So it flows out of there, flows into here. This is the external dump. And then this flows to the cooler. These two lines here are for the external cooler when we're racing and not drag and drive. So this is hooked up. I do have the cooler ports right there. So flows out of here to the cooler, that one to the external cooler, this for the internal cooler, and then this line is for the internal dump, which is this one, and they both flow back in the pan right there. So a little bit madness going on, but it works really well at controlling the pressures inside the transmission, and especially what we want to change with it. So don't mind the absolute disaster of a shop going on here. So like I said, swapped to the Holley coil, still got the boxes over there. We did make a new chute mount, which I will show you guys once I get it bolted on. So this is the new one. Mark got this done yesterday. I'm welding it up currently, so I get to weld on some titanium, which I'm a fan of. So other than that, we are just waiting on a motor. Piston rings were supposed to be in like Friday. They had a pretty big snowstorm down there in Arkansas. So hoping we get the motor back by the end of the week. That would leave us 1 week to put it back together. Not gonna get any testing, any dyno time, so it's gonna be loaded up, spool test, maybe a street drive, but that's about it. So hopefully you guys stay tuned. We'll be there one way or another, but yeah, it seems like sick week is always down to the wire. So I always know there's those guys that want to see the engine carnage. This is I guess just a PSA. It does suck, but there's just not anything. I mean, it's just racing. There's no. I mean, yeah, it sucks, but we learned a lot. We're upgrading the car, making it better. So there is an upside to this. It does suck because it's expensive. It's expensive to hurt stuff. So I'll probably put some pictures up here of the damage that occurred. So really what we know, the number 3 piston is completely torched. It looks like it had just a little bit of fuel, but like hardly any, and just torched the shit out of the piston. Scored the cylinder wall. Didn't lift the head at all. I don't believe it had a little bit of coolant pressure, but I think it may have just been sensor. I don't know. It may have started to lift the head, but Aaron said it was all right, so I trust him down at Kuntz. So that cylinder's just completely gone. That got a new sleeve. That's getting a new piston. So the surprising part, and probably I'll get some comments on this, but the rest of the motor was completely fine. There's no beat up bearings. All the other cylinders were perfectly fine. And you can kind of tell by these pictures that was the only hole that was just completely torched. So just kind of a freak thing. Like I said, no real smoking gun on this, but some upgrades that are needed. Oh, one more thing. We put a reluctor wheel on it. We're getting away from the 58X factory reluctor, going to a 12-1 reluctor wheel. So that is coming from Hyperactive. They got everything I needed. So thank you to them. That was helpful because I'm very busy and researching all the parts is just not in my schedule. So it's greatly appreciated. So we'll catch you next time. Hopefully do an update video when the motor's back and getting it all together.